Hi everyone, welcome to Franny Square and to our first episode of Show and Tell, where it's all about you. So, as I'm sure you're aware, we are growing at a rapid pace and I could not be more excited. I love reading your comments and getting your questions and pictures of your projects. And I thought it would be really nice if we could get to know one another even better. So my idea was that periodically, as I receive information from you, I'm going to show whatever you send me to the community. So for example, you can send me pictures of your projects, questions, suggestions, anything you like, and then I will show the projects to the community. And if I have answers for your questions, I will answer them. If I don't, we'll put it out to the community and see who does. We have so many experienced crocheters out there, so we might as well use the experience that we have. You can send your pictures, comments, suggestions to my email address, frannysquare@gmail.com. And you can also ask questions or give suggestions in the comment sections under the videos. So for today's episode, I have pictures of projects from two of our subscribers. The first one is Chickadee Marie. And Chickadee Marie was the winner of my very first giveaway of Lorena yarn. And that giveaway happened during my bucket hat tutorial. So if you haven't seen that tutorial, I'll put a link right here. It's a quick and easy project to do and a lot of fun. So I sent Chickadee Marie the yarn, and very quickly, she sent me back pictures of this hammock that she made for stuffed animals. How adorable is this? I love it. You can store your stuffed animals, keep them organized, keep them out in the open. Such a great idea. And the stitch is beautiful, and I love the tassels with the wooden beads and the fact that it's crocheted onto rings so you can hang it easily. What a great job. Thank you so much for sharing that. The second subscriber to send in pictures is Tracy Hamilton. And the first two pictures are works that she's doing from patterns from the Crochet Crowd and from Bonnie Bay. And you can see a lot of beautiful textured stitches there. The flowers, really beautiful. The last pictures are all originals by Tracy. So that is amazing. I love hearing that. And you can see she's using several different stitches. And in the very last picture, the orange and black are her son's school colors. So way to make it your own, Tracy. And thank you for sharing those. Finally, Samantha Jefferson sent in a comment asking me to please show how to crochet the Celtic stitch or Celtic weave stitch. And that's this stitch here. It's a beautiful stitch, which uses a lot of yarn. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so let's learn the Celtic weave stitch. It's really actually a very pretty stitch. I have to warn you up front, it uses a lot of yarn. So if you're planning on doing a big project, plan on buying a lot of yarn. The toughest thing about learning and teaching this stitch is showing how the hook enters your fabric and which stitches it's attaching to. And I'll do my best to show that to you. When we work the Celtic weave stitch, we're using posts, the posts of the stitch, rather than the actual stitches that we normally use. So let's just start out. You could start out by chaining any multiple of 4. So I'm going to chain 24. Make my slip knot and chain 24. So there we go. I've chained 24. Now, going into the third chain from the hook, okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to make a double crochet, yarn over, insert my hook into the chain, pull up a loop. I'll have 3 on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just going to go and double crochet all the way down. We have 22 double crochets, not including our chain in the beginning. Okay, so now I'm going to chain 3, and turn my work. All right, and in that same space, I'm just going to do a double crochet. And that's not really anything to do with your Celtic Weave stitch. That's kind of like a border. So again, depending on what you want to do and depending on your pattern, that may be different. All right, so when we work the Celtic Weave stitch, we are working in sets of 4 stitches. Now we're not counting this one, that's our border. So the next 4 stitches are these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're using the posts. So these, let me just get something to point with. These right here are the posts, okay? So we're gonna work with the next 4 posts. Now we're gonna skip the first 2, and we're gonna go to the 3rd one here, and we're gonna do a triple crochet, a front post triple crochet. So what does that mean? Well, I like to remember when you're doing the front post, you're working from the front of your fabric to the back. So I would wrap the yarn twice like I would for any triple crochet. I'm going to go from front to back behind that post and then come back out. You can also remember that a front post is in front of your hook, like that. Now we just yarn over, pull a loop through, and now we continue our triple crochet the way we normally would. Pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2 again, okay? Then we're gonna go to our next stitch, the 4th of the set, and we're gonna do the same exact thing. So we're gonna wrap twice, go in from the front to the back and back out to the front with that post in front of my hook. And then I'm gonna yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, okay? So now we've worked the 3rd and 4th stitch. Now we're gonna go back and work the 1st and 2nd stitch, okay? And again, from the front, we're gonna do front, post, triple crochets. So we're gonna wrap twice, and I'm gonna come back to this 1st stitch, and I like to push it out with my finger. Go behind it from the front to the back to the front. The post is laying over the front of my hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, okay? And you see how I kind of push the fabric out of the way and leave my loops here? It makes it much easier to work that way, and your hands will get used to the way that works for you. I'm gonna yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, good. Now it's just looking kind of like a tangled mess here, and this is where it's hard. We have to find that other stitch. Here's the 2nd one that we haven't worked yet. Okay, so we're gonna wrap the yarn twice. We're gonna come from front to behind to front, have the post laying over the front of my hook, yarn over, pull through, have 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so that is our first set of 4. Now you can see, so that's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. You can see my stitches attached to the 4th. So my next 4 start here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm going to start with the 3rd. I push it out with my finger so I know which one I'm working with. All right. And I'm going to wrap the yarn twice. Go from front to back to front. Remember, when I'm doing the front post, I go from the front. And pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then in the 4th stitch, same thing. Okay, now I have to go back and work the first 2 stitches of that group. We'll start with the first one. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over twice. Push out that first little guy there, and I'm going to go from the front to the back to the front. He's laying over top of my hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and now I have 4 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I have to find the second guy. He's always the hardest to find. Hide him back in there. Push that stitch up with my finger, and we're gonna yarn over twice, go from front to back to front, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now we've done these 4, and you can see I can always tell which is my last one. I have a stitch hooked onto it, okay? So now I'm going to do the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, to the 3rd stitch. Now if you find this is too slow for you, feel free to skip ahead. I know that this can be a difficult stitch for people, and I like to take it slowly. And yarn over, pull through 2, 3 times. Good. Then we'll go to stitch 4 in that group, do the same thing. So you're doing stitch 3, then stitch 4, then stitch 1, then stitch 2. That's your order. Okay, now we're going to go back to stitch 1, which is right here. Yarn over twice, front back to front, yarn over, pull up a loop, and I kind of am holding it, you know, my fabric out of the way. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then the second one here that we haven't worked yet, push that up, wrap twice, front, back, front, and yarn over, pull through 2, 3 times. Okay. Now, this may seem difficult at first, and like I said, the most difficult thing is finding your stitches and knowing which direction to use your hook. Once you have that down and once you practice, this is not a hard stitch, I promise. But I understand that it does look very complicated. Okay. Now, we're going to go on to our next set of 4. Okay. So we see that this is the last one that was worked. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So I'm going to go to the 3rd in that set and do my treble crochet from front to back to front again. And again in the 4th. Okay, then over to the 1st. And this is becoming the front of your fabric. And you will see that very clearly as we go on. Here's the 2nd stitch, so I'm working that one now. Okay. And now these 4 here, 3, 4. I'm going to go to the 3rd. And the 4th. Okay, and then the 1st. I got to come back to the 1st and the 2nd here. And if you get confused, if you're like, now which is this the 1st? Just look, does it have a stitch attached to it? This one does. This one does not, and this one does not. So it's the 1st and the 2nd. And actually doing something like this really helps you to learn about your stitches. Okay, so we're going to go to the 1st one here. Once it has a stitch attached, it's been worked. And here's the 2nd. Okay, and now we just go into our last stitch here and do a double crochet, or normal double crochet. Oop. Okay, and then we're going to chain 3 and turn and put a double crochet right in that same stitch. All right, now let's take a look at what we got so far. So this is the start of the front of our fabric, and you can see that that is this first row down here. Okay, now we're going to be working on the back side, and you can very clearly see that that's the back of the fabric. So it's not a reversible stitch. It does have a right side and a wrong side. All right, so how do we work this? Now, whenever we are working from the wrong side, we are going to be putting our hook in from the back of the work, which is actually the front, but it's the side that we're not working on. I don't want to confuse you. So anytime we have the wrong side facing us, our hook's going to come from the back rather than from the front like it did before. All right, so the first 2 stitches here are these 2. If you can see, it's these 2 here that become the first 2 when we turn it. All right, so we're going to work a back post triple crochet into this post here, and you see how they're both leaning that direction. So what we're going to do is wrap our yarn twice. Now we're coming from the back that way. All right, so now in the back post, the post is over the back of my hook, right? I'm going to yarn over and pull it through. Okay, and then the rest of the stitch is exactly the same. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, so for the second stitch, that's this other one that's laying that same direction. We're going to do the same thing. Wrap our yarn twice, come from the back to the front to the back, yarn over, pull through, and then once we get here, it's easy. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. All right, now we're going to skip 2 stitches. All right, so we worked here. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and that brings us to 2 more that are facing the same direction as the ones we just worked. I know it seems far away. We just worked these 2. Now we're going to work these 2. And then we'll come back and work these. That's where the crossing happens. So, but for now, we're moving to 2 more stitches that look just like those 2. So we're going to do the same exact thing again. Yarn over twice. Get that back post behind your hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Once you have that up, it's the same thing. Pull through 2, 3 times. And then we're going to do the same thing with this post. Yarn over twice. Go in with the post behind my hook when it's sitting this way. I'm trying to think of the best way to say that to you. If you have another way to remember it, feel free. Okay, 3 times. Now, we have skipped these 2 stitches, okay? And those 2 stitches are your stitches that are going the other direction. So we worked these. Now we're going to work these. All right, so now here's the hard part. Always coming from the back of your work when you're on the wrong side. So we're going to wrap twice. Now, from the back of my work, see how I'm behind these stitches? I'm going to push out the one I'm going to work on here. Okay, this one right here. And how do you know it's that one? Well, these 2 are stitches 1 and 2 of the 3 and 4. Or these 2 are the 2 stitches we skipped. So I'm going to start with the first one here, push that out, and I'm going to come from behind, see where my finger is, and poke through there, and then over top of that stitch and out the back again. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through. Okay, so that is probably the toughest part of this entire thing. Okay, well, all right, so that's one. Now, we did this one, now we want to do this one here. Okay, that stitch doesn't have anything attached to it on the top. That's how I know it's not been worked. Okay, I know it's really hard to see. So we're going to wrap twice, and we're going to come in from behind. See, from behind, over top, and then go behind again, yarn over, pull up a loop. And I kind of just keep all the fabric out of the way. Yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. Okay. And I'm going to say that those stitches are going to be your toughest stitches until you get the hang of it. Once you get the hang of it, it's not tough at all. Just like anything else. All right, now we've already worked these, and then we went back and worked these. So now we go skip 2 stitches, and we're going to work these again. You're always working first these stitches going that direction, okay, in the back. And I know, again, it seems far away, but it's these two. We've already worked these two. So going to wrap the yarn twice, go into that stitch there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we'll do the other one right there, wrap the yarn twice, and we're going to put this post behind our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We've worked these two, we're going to come back to these two. It's the two facing the other direction in the row below, right before the two that you worked. That's how you'll remember them. Okay, so remember, we're coming from behind. So we're going to yarn over twice and come from behind, and then over top of that post, and then back out the back. And yarn over and pull up a loop like that, keeping my fabric out of the way, and I'm going to just pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, okay. And now I still have one left facing that direction, which is right here, okay. See, we just worked this one, which goes up to where my hook is. Okay, so this guy's free. He doesn't have any stitch on top of him, so he's the one. So we're going to wrap twice, come from the back, over front of the post, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Now, again, we're going to look for the stitches going this direction on the back that haven't been worked yet. These two have been worked, as you can see. So these two have not been worked. So we're going to start with this guy. Wrap our yarn twice. Okay. And do our triple crochet. And then we'll do this guy here. Okay, so we just finished these two. So we look for the two going this direction right before these two, and that would be these, right? They're right next to those two. So we're going to do this first one here first. All right, I like to push that up so I know where it is, and I'm going to come from behind again. So I'm going to wrap twice, come in from the back, over top of that post and out the back again, and then pull up a loop like that, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, Okay. Now we have one more of those, and that's this one right here. This stitch is out front and does not have a stitch attached to the top. The one we just worked is this one right here, which comes up the back here and is attached to our hook. Okay, so we're going to do this one here. We're going to yarn over twice, come in through the back, over top of that post, and out the back again. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then we'll finish our stitch. Yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. All right. Now we've just finished those four. We're going to look for, now see, these two have been worked because they have the stitches attached. These two have not. So these are our next two here. All right. So we're going to wrap twice. Come all the way over here. I know it seems far away. Keep that in mind. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And then this one here is the next one. I'm going to wrap the yarn twice and do our triple crochet. All right, now we look for the two stitches going that way that are next to this, and that's these two here. The two that are right before the two that we just did. So we're going to start with this first one here. Wrap twice. We're going to come from the back over top of the post. Yarn over, pull up a loop. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through two. Yarn over, pull through two. Yarn over, pull through two. All right, and we still have one stitch left. This one here that is not attached to anything. We just did this one here, which is attached to our hook up the back there. Okay, so we're going to yarn over twice, come from the back, over top of the post, yarn over, pull up a loop, get that fabric out of your way, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And we are left with these two stitches that have not been worked. So what we're going to do is we're going to do back post triple crochets on both of those. So coming from the back to the front to the back, pull up a loop, okay, and the next one, pull up a loop. All right, and in our last stitch, we're going to do a double crochet and chain three and turn. Okay, so we finished row two. And this is what our work looks like on the front. Okay, so you can see it's starting to take shape. All right, now we're going to be working from the front of the fabric, which means we're going to be doing front post triple crochets, and we're going to be going from the front of the work to the back of the work. That's how we're going to work with our hook rather than from the back to the front. So just remember, when you're working on the front of the fabric, your hook will go from front to back. When you're holding it from the back, your hook will come from back to front because you're essentially always working on the front side. So when you're turned around to work on the front side, you have to be back here. I hope that's making some sense. Okay, so let's get started. Row three. Okay, so for row three, working on the front of our work, we're not going to count this first double crochet here. That's just, my border or whatever. My first 4 stitches are these. I'm going to skip the first 2 stitches like I did on the front of the work last time. Go to my 3rd stitch here, and I'm going to wrap my yarn twice, go from front to back to front. The post will lay over the front of my hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll do that with the 4th stitch as well. I hope this is starting to come together. You'll see as you work on it. It will come together, I promise. Okay, so we worked stitches 3 and 4. We want to go back to 1 and 2, these two here. So we're going to yarn over twice, front to back to front, post laying over the front of the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2 3 times. Sometimes my fingers don't want to work. Okay, and so that was 1, the first stitch. Now we're going to do this 2nd stitch here. Same thing from the front to the back to the front, and do our triple crochet. There we go. All right, so that's those 4 stitches. Now the next 4, and let's see if we can see which stitches have been worked and which haven't. Okay, so what we did there is we first worked on the stitches going this direction. So we're going to look for the next 2 going this direction. So our next 4 stitches are 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to work in the 3rd stitch here, okay, with a front post triple crochet. There we go. And we'll do that in the 4th stitch as well, right there. Okay, now we want to look for 1 and 2, and they're kind of hiding back here. But you can see they don't have any stitch on top. They haven't been worked yet. So we're going to take stitch 1, do a front post, so from front to back to front, triple crochet, and stitch 2. And I'm basically holding on to them as I work so I know what's coming up next. All right, so it's very easy to find stitches 3 and 4 of the next set because they're the ones that are going this direction. Okay, so these are 1 and 2, and these are 3 and 4. Okay, so with stitch 3, same thing, front post, triple crochet, same with the 4th stitch of the group. Okay, now we have to find 1 and 2 hiding back here. There's 1, there's 2. Doing the same thing. Working from the front is much easier. And the 2nd stitch here. Okay, moving along. Again, I'm looking for stitches 3 and 4. Very easy to see. Here they are, facing that direction. So I'm going to start with stitch 3. Doing my front post, triple crochet, and then stitch 4. Okay, and then I have to kind of separate all the stitches going that direction to find stitches 1 and 2 hiding back there. So here's stitch 1. Okay. And here's stitch 2. You see how you're starting to see it now? I hope. Hopefully you're not yelling at the screen, I don't see it. I do that sometimes. Okay. So now those 4 are worked. So now our last 2 heading this direction, It's kind of hard to tell, but it's these two here. We're going to do our front post triple crochet on both of those. This one here. It's not actually that hard to see. It's just they aren't pulled so much yet, so they don't really look like they're going that direction. And then the two that we've skipped back here, 1 and 2. Here's 1. Get behind there. And 2. Okay. And now all we have left is this last stitch here, so we're just going to do a double crochet in that. And chain 3 to turn. Now, before we turn, just take a look at your work. It should look like this. It's coming together. Whoop. It's coming together. All right, so now we're going to turn our work. You can very clearly see this is the back of the fabric. Where's your hook coming from on this round? It's coming from the back, which is really the front of your fabric, but coming from behind when you work, okay? So, we're always starting with these stitches going that direction, whichever side we're on. I don't know if you noticed that. When we're on the front side, the ones going this direction are stitches 3 and 4. When we're on this side, the stitches going this direction are 1 and 2 right here. I don't want to confuse you with numbers, but they're the first 2 stitches that you'll be working. So we're going to wrap our yarn twice, go into this stitch here, pull up a loop. Okay, always coming from the back to our triple crochet. And then for the next one here, okay, and just like that. Then we're going to skip 2 stitches, all right, 1, 2, and we're going to the next 2. So whenever we're working the back, when we work the front, we skip the first 2 stitches. When we work the back, we don't. We go into those and then we skip 2 stitches, because this is really 3, 4, 1, 2. And 1, 2 is what we always skip. Now we're doing 3, 4, okay? So we're going to wrap the yarn twice, have the post on the back of our hook when we're facing this direction, and do our treble crochet. And same with this next one here. Okay, now we have these 2 go in this direction, but we need to work the 2 we just skipped over, which are the 2 going this direction that are right before these 2, okay? And we're working on the wrong side, so we got to come from the back. We're working from the back and we're coming from the back, okay, with our hook. So this is the first stitch that we're going to work on. We're going to wrap twice, come from behind, over top, and out back. And then I just fold my fabric out of the way, okay? And then after that, it's easy. That's the hardest part. All right. And we want to get the next stitch that was skipped, which is this one right here. I'm going to wrap twice, come in from the back, over front of that, and pull it out, and pull pull through 2 3 times. And you're going to continue this same pattern to the end. So after I've done that, the next thing I'm looking for, I've worked these 2. You can see the stitch comes up. So I'm looking for the 2 that have not been worked yet. So they're over here. Stitches 3 and 4. So I'm going to go back there. I apologize if my hands have gone off camera. Every once in a while I look up and I'm like, oh my goodness, where am I? Okay. All right, so that's 3 and 4. So I'm looking for 1 and 2 that are right before it, going the opposite direction. These are those. So I'm going to start with 1. Coming from the back, poke through, and then go back behind with the post behind the hook, yarn over. I kind of fold my fabric so I can pull it through and see it like that, okay? Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay. And then we have to do this one here, coming from the back to the front to the back. Wanted to show it to you a little faster so you see that you don't always have to go so slowly. I'm going slowly so that you can get this. I know it's hard to see. All right. Now, the next 2 that haven't been worked yet, because these 2 have, you can see the stitch all the way up here. These 2 have not, so I'm going over there. And the next one. All right, now I'm looking for the 2 going that direction that are right before that. That's these 2. Start with the first one, coming from the back. Okay, and the other one that I haven't worked yet. Good. Then I look for the last 2 over here that have not been worked yet. And we'll do those. So as you can see, this stitch can take a little time, even if you're going faster. So if you're doing a large project, expect it to take a little longer. I love the look of this stitch. I know that it uses a lot of yarn, and the other thing is it does use a lot of wrist action for me. Probably some people are better at it than I am, and I'm usually pretty careful with my wrists because without them, crocheting is very difficult. Okay, so now these are the 2 going that direction, so the 2 right before it, stitches 1 and 2. I'm going to start with 1. It's all this motion that seems to be tough for me. Just something to consider if you're doing a long project, but you do get a beautiful effect. And then the other one that's left here, coming from the back. Okay, that's those. And that leaves us with just these 2 last stitches here. So when you're working from the wrong side, you'll always have these 2 extra stitches. When you're working on the right side, you end with a group of 4. So what we do with these last 2 is just simply back post triple crochets. So from the back to the front to the back. Okay, and then this one as well. Okay, and then in the end, I'm just going to put a, double crochet here. And there we go. And so you can just keep repeating those 2 rows. And there you have it, your Celtic Weave stitch. Very pretty. I know this is a difficult stitch to see and to learn and even to teach. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. And I'd love to see your work. So feel free to send me pictures. If you're having a difficult time with a piece, you can send me a picture and show me what you're having difficulty with, and then hopefully I can figure out what's going on. Remember to send anything to frannysquare@gmail.com. Well, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Show and Tell. Please feel free to send me any pictures of the projects you're working on, any questions you have, any tips you might have for our community. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. Remember to make it your own, and I'll see you soon.